Today I would like to talk about one thing that will change many things in your practice. People are usually overwhelmed. They get easily overwhelmed, I'll say this, when they learn about the concept of creating a practice routine, then they want to make sure that they create an effective practice routine. And when they start doing such exercises as the summarizing exercise or the transcribing exercise or the storytelling exercise, but especially the summarizing exercise, they come to realize very quickly that they need to practice so many other skills to do this one exercise. In order to do the summarizing exercise correctly, you need to be attentive, you need to pay attention to your vocabulary, you need to do the self-correction task very quickly, you need to choose your words, you need to keep a lot of things in mind, and the conclusion that people make is, oh, I'm never going to make it. It's just too much, it's overwhelming. And yes, if you practice every skill separately, you learn vocabulary separately, you learn pronunciation separately, you learn grammar separately, and you pretty much learn different things about the language separately from each other and separately from your own personality, chances are very low that you're going to succeed. If you're watching this video and if you're interested in native-like fluency and if you're understanding everything I'm saying, you're way past the level where you need to learn more about the language. You probably already know quite a lot about the language. Our job now is to implement everything that you know. And now the task is to make sure that you express yourself and your personality in the target language. Instead of disconnecting yourself from the language, connect yourself with everything that you know and learn to express your personality in a foreign language. To avoid feeling overwhelmed by all these elements that you need to master in order to speak spontaneously and be clear at the same time and respond timely, I created this concept that I want to share with you, which is called Master One Thing That Changes Many Things. I divided the most important skills that people want to master into 5 categories. Category 1 is pronunciation, then flow, everybody wants to be fluent and spontaneous, then grammar, because without grammar, without correct grammar, you can't sound clear enough, writing, and speaking. I'm going to tell you one thing that will change many things in each category. Pronunciation. If you really, really want to improve your pronunciation, the first thing you need to do is you need to make a decision. Do you want to sound American or British or maybe Australian? Make a decision. A lot of people are all over the place. Half of their vowels sound American, half of their vowels sound more British. The melody is British at the beginning of their sentences and then it changes for whatever reason. Make a decision early on. And if you made the decision to sound American or to practice American English, then stop watching pronunciation advice from British people and stop repeating after them, because you're going to confuse yourself. Basically, filter out unnecessary information. But regardless of whether you want to master a British or American accent, the one thing that will change many things for you if you want to improve your pronunciation is your vowels. Start paying attention to your vowels. I didn't pay attention to my vowels for a long time. I only started working on my vowels, and I mean, when I say working, I mean deliberately, systematically, and regularly, maybe 2.5 years ago. I sensed and I felt that something was off, but I couldn't put a finger on it. Vowels is the key ingredient. Let me tell you why. In many other languages, maybe in your first language too, there are not as many vowels as there are in English. For example, in my first language, there are only 6. And in English, there are 14. So I use the only 6 that I know to produce a wider range of vowels. And of course, it doesn't work. I need to learn completely new positioning of my mouth, and I need to teach my brain and my articulation organs to produce completely new sounds. That takes a lot of repetition, that takes a lot of brain work. And it's not easy, but there is a system. There are only 14 vowels. And if you understand how to produce each vowel correctly, it becomes second nature. If you are new to vowels, you want to check out the color vowel system. It's free, it's available on YouTube. There is a playlist on YouTube which can help you understand how to pronounce every vowel correctly. You take one vowel and you master it and you practice it. Then you take the next vowel and you practice it and you master it, and the list goes on and on. And here, this journey is finite. You know that there are only 14 and you will know exactly when you're done. If you want to improve your flow, the one thing that will change many things for you is thought chunking. If you don't know how to thought chunk, and if you don't know what a thought chunk is, a thought chunk is a group of words that creates a meaningful thought. It's a meaningful piece of information. A group of words that creates a meaningful thought. There is a beautiful YouTube channel by Jill Diamond, American English by Jill Diamond. You can Google it and you can find her videos on thought chunking. If you receive my newsletter, I gave the link to her YouTube videos today in my newsletter. Just go back to the previous stories, click on the text of that newsletter and find the link. Basically, it's your ability to identify groups of words that belong together in one meaningful thought chunk. When you speak, you're supposed to say these words together and only then pause. A lot of people pause too many times. Let's say they pause between every word for no reason and they sound monotone, and I don't know where we're going. As somebody who is in the audience, I need some guidance from you when you speak. I need you to guide me. I need you to tell me where we're going. And I'm listening to how you stress words. I'm listening to your intonations because your intonations guide me. And if you never pause, or you pause in the wrong places, or you never finish your sentences, or your intonations are off, I don't know where we're going. I don't know if you finished your thought or you're going to say something else. I don't know if you're asking a question or if you're making a statement. I don't know if you're being sarcastic or you're being sincere and honest. I honestly do not know. So the one thing that will change many things for you if you want to improve your flow is thought chunking. Basically, knowing where to pause. And you pause between the thought chunks. So being able to identify those and saying them together as one unit, and only then pausing, is key. We do a lot of this work in the community of practice. So if you need specific exercises, join the community of practice and learn to do these exercises with me. Grammar. If you want to improve your grammar, one thing that will change many things for you is your ability to see the situation that you're trying to explain or that you're reading about. Here's what I mean. We need grammar to explain our own ideas clearly, and we also need to understand grammar when we listen to someone speak, or when we watch a video, or when we read a text. Because if you don't understand where we are we in the past? Are we in the present? Are we in the future, right? If you're listening to someone who doesn't make sense, who confuses the tenses, or who uses the wrong prepositions, you never know where we are. I can't see the picture. Your ability to understand the meaning of each sentence, to see a coherent narrative, to see a story, to see what's going on is key. It's not enough to memorize grammar rules because you will not be able to apply them to something that you don't understand. First, ask yourself, do I even understand what the sentence is about? Can I see the situation? When I say, can I see it, I mean, can you imagine the situation? Can you see this man or this woman? Can you see the room they're talking about? Can you see what season it is? If you can't see this, it's going to be very difficult for you to make grammatical decisions. Before you ask yourself, oh, is this present simple? What's the rule? What preposition goes with this verb or with this noun? Is it a phrasal verb? Is it an idiom? First ask yourself, do I even understand what this is about? And if you're trying to deliver a message, can you see your message so clearly that you're ready to deliver it? Very often people start speaking before they fully understand what it is that they're trying to say themselves. And then grammar comes easy, trust me. Because if you use the books written for native speakers and by native speakers, you will see that they explain grammar exactly from this perspective. They assume that you see what's going on. And if you open any grammar book written by language teachers for language learners, you will see that they explain grammar from a completely different perspective. And very often this perspective, I find it weird because it separates you from the language. So you're looking at the language as a separate entity that has nothing to do with you. But it has everything to do with you because you're expressing yourself in the language and you're learning about other people in the foreign language. By the way, yeah, we have a comment which is very true. If you can see the picture in your head, that means you can read. Exactly. If you still don't understand what I mean by seeing the picture, think of your reading experience. When you read a book, even if you read it silently to yourself, even though there are no pictures, you can see the characters in your head, right? You can see how tall they are. You can see if they're blonde or brunette. You can see the color of their eyes. You can even hear their voices. You can see the garden that they're walking into. You can see their home. You can literally see it. And that's why the experience of watching a movie that is based on a book can be so disappointing sometimes, because you saw this picture so differently. In your head, it was so different from what you see in a movie, right? That's what I mean by seeing the picture. Writing. In order to improve your writing skills, one skill that will change everything for you is your ability to self-edit. In order to self-edit, meaning you write something and then you analyze your writing and you need to understand, is this correct or incorrect? And if it's incorrect, you need to self-edit. It's really difficult. And in the community, I share a lot of resources that you can use on your own to edit your writing. And again, you need to self-edit it with one purpose in mind. I need to help other people see what I'm talking about. And if it's too overwhelming and too difficult and you're a beginner, the one thing that you can start with is sentence structure. Learn the correct sentence structure. In the English language, every sentence is structured the same way. Subject, verb. So we need a subject and we need a verb. And then what, where, and when. Exactly in this order. If all three elements are present, they're going to be in this order. But we don't always have all three. For example, I, subject, play, verb. What? Football. Where? At the stadium. When? Every Sunday. Exactly in this order. Not I play every Sunday football. No, I play football every Sunday. If you look at your sentences from this perspective, do I have a verb? Do I have a subject? And by the way, is my subject closer to the beginning of my sentence, or is it lost somewhere in the middle or closer to the end? That is also a decisive factor. A lot of people like starting their sentences with there is, there are, or it is, or some descriptive adjective. Start with your subject. Master sentence structure. Learn to put your subject closer to the beginning of your sentences, and you will immediately write a lot better. And your message will be a lot clearer to other people. If you're a community member, put sentence structure in the search bar and you will find a practice routine to practice exactly that, to teach yourself to see the correct sentence structure and to self-correct easily. And if you want to speak better, one thing that will change many things for you is the ability to self-correct, which is big. But if we dissect it and break it down, this one thing is noticing when you speak on autopilot. Teaching yourself to be so attentive to yourself that you start noticing those moments when you speak on autopilot, when you're not conscious about the way you speak. This will change so many things about your speaking skills that you can't even imagine right now. A lot of people trying to change their speaking habits by applying a lot of intellectual effort, by memorizing stuff, but it's the wrong strategy. We all want to speak a foreign language spontaneously, right? I don't know a lot of people who care about delivering one presentation once a year and they call it learning a language. We want to use it freely. We want to use it easily. We want to be fluent. We want to learn to express ourselves when we want to and when we need to. The only solution here is to learn to be so attentive to yourself that you can catch yourself and stop yourself if you start speaking on autopilot. When you speak on autopilot, you stop listening to yourself and you stop hearing yourself, and you make the same mistakes over and over again. The mistakes that you know you shouldn't be making. If you are working on your speaking skills, you probably know what mistakes you would like to get rid of. My thing is filler words at the beginning of my sentences. I'm doing my best to avoid starting my sentences with and or with so. I'm constantly listening to myself. If I'm really excited about the thing I'm talking about, or I'm stuck, my attention starts drifting away. If I'm really excited, I forget to pay enough attention to my audience, meaning I forget to ask myself this question: is my message being received now? And if I get stuck and I don't know what to say next, all my attention goes in the other direction. What word do I say next? How do I say this in English? How do I put it? Maybe I should stop talking, you know? Maybe you can recognize yourself. These are normal states. Our job is to notice the moments when we start drifting away and bring ourselves back to being centered and paying attention to how we sound and what we say. If you learn to identify those moments when you speak on autopilot, that's already a good start, because the next question is, what do I say instead? And this is when you need to do the self-correction exercise. Again, if you don't know how to do the self-correction exercise, join the community of practice. You can find lots of it, and you can watch the replays of our Sunday practice, where you will find the demonstration of the self-correction exercise in real time. You simply press play and you follow along. And if you're new to my work and the community of practice, you can go to my website, which is my name, nataliatokar.me, and there are free exercises right on the website. Just find the word self-correction and try it out for yourself. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you in the next videos.